it does look like our players are in fact ready to get their match or this match underway. We're gonna get them counted down here in Twitch chat. Let's go and get them counted down to game number 1. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Players are in fact playing on same piece sets, so they're gonna get the same pieces. This is going to be an absolutely exciting matchup. To start things off, both players do have a Tetris on the board. And Myles, small misdrop. And there's not really an easy way to fix this either. Blue Scuti with an absolutely pristine board is going to be able to take advantage. With that, Tetris, Scuti is going to take the early lead, as Myles is looking for the most efficient way to downstack out of this. Would definitely love to get an eyepiece here. That'd be a triple at best, but that's going to help Myles get burned out. 159 for Scuti, 81,000 for Myles. And Myles has gotten the board under control. Things have kind of started to play into his favor. Of course, with Scuti with the advantage in score right now, Myles is going to have to make up for that lost efficiency somehow. Scuti actually running into a little bit of a dicey situation. Forced to go for a nice delayed burn. Is going to get the well open. It appears that both players are walking headfirst into a drought. Scuti manages to survive, knocking down the Tetris, and Myles survives as well, but a Tetris wasn't found immediately after the drought. 165 to 237, Scuti currently in the lead. However, Scuti is going to run into potentially a slowdown. Actually, Scuti's going to opt for the dirty Tetris. The long bar does come, can get a well transfer. Well, not anymore. Decides to go for the skim single. That's going to open up the right-hand side and allow for a Tetris to be scored. 193 for Myles, 264 for Scuti. Just under the halfway mark here in game number 1. And Scuti playing towards the top. Able to narrowly get pieces in accurate locations. Beautiful Z flat over there for Scuti. That bird's going to open up the well. Tetris is going to be scored. Myles operating off of row 3 here. There it is, 338 to now 220. Myles would love to get a J piece. Oh, decides to sacrifice the health of the stack just a little. Tetris is going to be scored for Myles. One more burn line is going to bring him back down all the way to the bottom. However, Scuti has built up over a 100,000 point lead and sets up the Vits. It's going to convert that into a Tetris as well. 406 for Scuti. Intentional long bar dependency creation right there in column 7. But finds a nice way to burn out of it. Scuti is definitely off to a strong start here in game number 1. Of course, this is just level 18. We still got 2 more speeds that are going to be very playable. Of course, a 3rd speed that's going to be not so playable, unless you're Alex T. 455 now for Scuti, 318 for Myles. There's going to be another Tetris for Myles, goes up to 340. And Myles looking for a T-piece, intentionally created the T-spin dependency. Not finding that T-piece whatsoever. Another Tetris is going to be scored for Scuti. Myles actually running into several complications. Sets up another T-spin, but is going to decide to go for L-flat and try and remedy it after burning this out. 525 for Scuti here, up to a massive lead here in the early game. No Tetris is going to be scored for Scuti, goes up to 570. A couple Tetrises remain before the level 19 transition. Speeds will increase by 50%. Myles set up for a Tetris. If he does get the long bar, it'll be a perfect well transfer. Not perfect anymore, but the stack has been brought down. Scuti's going to transition at 617. Myles with the J-spin there makes a small adjustment. Doesn't look like he's going to transition with a clean board and is going to transition at a severe disadvantage of 200,000 points. And is still trying to burn this down. Meanwhile, Scuti trying to get back into scoring position here. There's the Tetris for Myles, 461 and now 655. Still trailing by 200,000 or just under 200,000 points. Scuti and Myles both set up for Tetrises. There's the Tetris for Scuti, goes up to 682. Another Tetris is going to be scored, 708. Myles now starting to answer back with some of his own. But now both players just kind of locked in a dead heat in terms of scoring efficiency in the post-transition, which means Scuti is going to hang on to that 200,000 point lead until Scuti makes a mistake and Myles has the opportunity to capitalize. This is Scuti's game to run away with. Myles goes for the delayed chorion adjustment, was unable to find the L piece in enough time. And now both players not in a scoring position. Scuti, as a matter of fact, does run into a slowdown. There's a Tetris for Myles, 600,000 for him, 764 for Scuti. Scuti still not in an opportune position. Would love another L piece or an I. That SZ combination is going to work out perfectly, and the well gets open for a Tetris for Scuti. 802 now for him as Myles starts to answer back with Tetrises of his own. Goes up to 658, down by 150,000 as Scuti trying to avoid building up holes in the center. But these S pieces are not favorable. Able to execute a J-tuck. Nice delay burn on that O piece. Tetris is going to be scored for Scuti. 835 now for Scuti. Myles going to answer back with Tetris. 688. Down by 150,000 points as both players are at identical line counts. One hole was formed over there for Myles, but he can burn it out if he gets ideal pieces. Oh, that SD combination is going to be perfect, but instead uses the O. An even more efficient way to burn out of that. 723 now for Myles. 870 for Scuti. Scuti's going to knock down a Tetris. 901. 3 Tetrises and change away from the max. There's one. Myles building up high, trying to make the most of this board state that he can. Scuti had to do a little bit of burning going into level 26. Myles, Tetris ready. Scuti having to burn one more line, but there is no long bar to be found for Myles. There's the Tetris for Myles, 824 to 971. Scuti still holding on to this 150,000 point lead. Both players getting that left side filled up. Tetris is going to be scored for both, and they're in fact synchronized on pieces. Level 29 is coming. The speed is going to increase once more. There's the max out for Scuti, 840. That's 1,040,000 points. Myles, 3 Tetrises away from that mark. Can get it before 29. There's the Tetris to be scored. 2 Tetrises, as a matter of fact. Scuti was unable to use that second long bar. Another Tetris for Myles. One more before we hit in the level 29 speeds. B10, that's 1.1 million for Scuti. There's the Tetris. Scuti goes to 29 now at B46. Myles gonna have to do some burns. Doesn't go into 29 with a clean board state. Does get the well open. Takes the triple. Trailing by now 170,000 points. Scuti trying to operate, gets Tetris ready. No, just going to take the triple. Myles at this point down by over almost 200,000 points. Is going to have to start going for Tetrises at some point. As Scuti just trying to keep the board state clean. Myles able to find a triple, bringing the stack down. Scuti is trying to get set up for the Tetris, waiting on the long bar. Decides to take a triple, trying to size Myles up, make Myles make the first mistake. And mistakes were made, but Myles does find a Tetris. Now has to bring the stack down. Scuti, C24, that's 1.2 million for Scuti, 1.08 million for Myles. Left side needs to be dealt with. Neither player is in scoring position. Wait, Myles is set up for the left low Tetris, but decides to take the triple. Burns out. Board's back down to the bottom as Scuti is trying to get the board under control. Myles is Tetris ready. Tetris for Myles. B41 and now C41. 100,000 points separate these two players. Myles potentially going to set up for something here. No, going to decide to burn down, and so is Scuti. We're at level 33. A couple of problems happening on the board for Myles. This down stack is now becoming incredibly more complicated. Myles trying to get pieces over to the left. Not going to be any avail. Game 1 goes to Scuti with DO3. That's 1.3 million. Scuti is one game closer to taking that medal. However, that's game one. These players are ready for game number two. Let's go ahead and get them counted down. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. As you can see, both players do in fact have the same piece sets. And you know, things really started to spiral out of control last game for Myles in the level 18. Level 19, Myles was able to play slightly more efficient than Scuti. But when you have a 200,000 point deficit up against a player of Scuti's caliber, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on yourself in the later parts of the game, especially on 29, where the risk for setting up Tetris is definitely magnified. However, the way the things stand at this moment, both players are more or less in an equal position. Scuti with the flawless 20. Myles gonna go and set up the T-spin. TPs did come. So unfortunately, the willingness to try and resolve that as soon as possible did force Myles to take a couple extra burns there. Scuti is gonna have a 1 Tetris lead here in the first 29. Scuti actually going for the delayed bits. Very aggressive setup. Just gonna take the triple, burn it out. Smart thing to do because we are running into a drought. In the game of NES Tetris, you're not guaranteed a long bar or any piece for that matter. You can go 40, 50, 60, even more without a Tetris or a long bar 2-score Tetris. What a delay burn over there, or delay bit setup over there for Scuti. That does give Myles the opportunity to close the gap, especially if Scuti is going to be forced to burn anytime soon. However, at this moment, Scuti does hold on to the lead. 211 and now 186. Oh, there's the misdrop over there from Scuti. And Myles held out for the T-piece that time. Loves the S-piece, and there it is. Myles going to kind of tie things back up. 232 to now 215. 1 Tetris advantage currently in Myles' favor. Scuti stacking up high, able to bring the stack down to the bottom. Couple of Tetrises, best way to bring your stack down. Of course, safety burns may be needed. That's one thing about Scuti's playstyle, and we saw a lot of that in the previous game on level 18. Scuti is willing to go for aggressive setups. Fortunately, a spin was missed over there for Scuti. That's going to cost him 2 burn lines. And although 2 burn lines doesn't sound like much, if you keep on having moments like that, those 2 burn lines will easily add up into multiples of 4, giving your opponent opportunity to capitalize and go in the lead in terms of Tetrises. And so far, that's what Myles has been able to do. This game's a lot closer than the previous game, and Myles does have the advantage of Scuti now having to deal with some very unfavorable piece sequences. Gonna take the triple, not gonna set up for anything hyper aggressive. Ooh, goes for the T-tuck. Gonna remedy that misdrop quite well, actually. But more weight keeps getting put on column 6. And Scuti actually going to go for the dirty Tetris here. If the long bar does come, it does. That's going to be a well transfer. 348 for Scuti, 375 for Myles. It's going to add a Tetris to that. Goes up to 398. So has a 2 Tetris advantage at the moment. Potentially even more. Scuti is playing ahead. And wow, look at how high Myles is playing. Really trying to capitalize on Scuti's mistakes as much as he possibly can. But right now, things are looking pretty calm. Both players, although playing at an elevated state, seem to be very comfortable where they're at this moment. Another Tetris is going to be scored over there for Scuti. 449. We are 25 lines-ish, give or take a few, away from the post-transition. Level 19. Speed's going to kick up. Last time we saw Myles be able to be a tad bit more efficient than Blue Scuti, but only by 2 Tetrises. And with Myles having a Tetris lead real time, potentially more in pace, there's an opportunity for Myles to have the lead going into 29. Of course, neither of these players stranger to playing at faster speeds. Both these players have PBs that are well in the millions. Scuti in particular, known for being able to crash the game or being the first one to do so. Of course, we do have a line cap. 39 super kill screen is the rule set that is played here in competitive. So we're not going to be seeing anything like game crashes. We will be seeing players scoring Tetrises aggressively. One Tetris remains for both players. Scuti finds his, and so does Myles. There's a transition. 592 for Scuti, 616 for Myles. Gonna add a Tetris, goes up to 640. So about a 50,000 point lead real time for Myles. It's gonna translate into around 2.5 Tetrises. Scuti does find a Tetris. Myles, beautiful skim right there. Gonna open up the well, or keep the well open, I should say. And able to find a Tetris there too. Another Tetris for Myles. Scuti does get the JP dependency filled, and now both players are in a position. Clean boards. All they can do is exchange Tetrises. A very solid stacking too. Nothing super ambitious. Just trying to be as clean as possible. And the pieces are quite friendly for the time being. However, you can't always rely on RNG to be kind. Both players are playing on the same piece set, so I'm going to get dealt the same pieces. Whether great or not so great, a hole has been generated over there from Myles. So a couple of burns are going to be committed on his part. And he's throwing those long bars over to the left side, really trying to do his best to avoid taking too many burns. And with a hole generated right there, actually, Myles is not going to be in a position to score Tetris for the next couple of lines. With that, Scuti is going to get the game basically almost tied up. 785 to now 781. Myles gets that. Oh, Myles potentially going to go for a center well. Column 3 holding out for the long bar. Scuti knocks down a Tetris, and so does Myles. 815 and now 811. Added Tetris over there for Scuti, goes up to 840. Scuti having to do some burning. Myles needs to address the left side before any scoring can be done. Right side also has something that needs to be addressed. The well is covered, and Myles, the well is open. A Tetris can be scored, but that massive 3-high gap gonna have to be dealt with sooner or later. And Scuti is utilizing this opportunity, taking the lead. Myles would love to get an eyepiece. There it is. Eyepiece found for Myles. 862 for Myles. 915 for Scuti. Scuti has built up a 2 Tetris lead, or a Tetris and a half lead, actually. We're past level 24, so Tetrises become worth 30,000 points or more as we continue to progress through the levels. There's a center one Tetris for Myles, potentially going to be able to set up for one more. And Myles actually goes for the setup, decides not to fill in the long bar dependency. Probably actually going to utilize these pieces, go for row 2. Scuti run into a slowdown going to level 26, and that Tetris for Myles is going to bring us back into tie game territory. 969 for Myles, 960 for Scuti. A Tetris going to bring Scuti up to 933 or 993. Pardon me. And that Tetris for Myles is going to allow him to max out, and Scuti maxes out as well. 803 to now 827. That's 1,027,000 points to now 1,037,000 points. Myles follows it up with a Tetris. Scuti goes into level 28. One more level before level 29 speeds. Still have some time left to go. Both players looking to try and score as much before 29, but also they need to maintain a good board state. There's a Tetris from Myles. Scuti not going to go in the 29 clean, but the well is open. Going to go ahead and take the 3-line burn. Trying to keep the well open. Tetris going to be scored for Scuti. B50 now for Myles. B13 for Scuti. Scuti going to be trailing by Tetris in the board state. Not the most favorable, but the well is open. There's another Tetris scored by Scuti, separating them by 6,000 points as Myles brings the stack back down. Trying to get into a scoreable position. Beautiful delayed burn over there with the eyepiece over there for Scuti. Scuti is now Tetris ready. This Tetris is going to give Scuti the lead. B96 to now B68. Myles, that's going to be a triple. Is trying to get his Tetris, or his board, into a Tetris scoring position. Left side had to be addressed first. Scuti doing his best, keeping the well open. Myles went for a center well. Very aggressive. That misdrop might actually seal a deal. Scuti already has a high enough score. C60. Scuti takes game number 2 and is 1 game away from winning this 3rd place match. Truly a phenomenal post-29 play over there by Scuti, able to efficiently go for Tetrises and really put some pressure on Myles to where he sets up for a center well. And unfortunately, the center well eyepiece did not come in enough time. Beautiful S-spin over there for Scuti into a Tetris. Scuti's looking like he's going to play this one out too. E42 for Scuti, that's 1.4. But that's all Scuti's going to be able to get, but that's good enough. Scuti now leads the match 2-0. Let's go ahead and get them counted down. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. And Scuti now has put on the sunglasses. Myles just wearing regular glasses. So, nothing, you know, too out there. But as it stands, Myles is down 2-0. Has to win this game to at least extend the set. Scuti one game away from winning 3rd place and getting that Genesis GX, or not Genesis GX, Genesis X medal for Classic Tetris at least. But really, that game just came down to post 29. And that's been kind of the story of Scuti in this particular matchup, has been able to really take different aspects of the duration of the game and just excel past Myles in them. Myles is going to have a chance at bringing this back. He's going to have to soundly defeat Scuti in at least 2 of the 3 aspects, preferably the later one where the scoring potential is definitely ballooned. But in first game, we saw Scuti with a 200,000 point lead going into level 19. And although Myles was a bit more efficient, only putting a 2 Tetris dent in that deficit was definitely not enough to overcome. And in the last game, Myles played better 18 and better 19. Had the 1.1 going into 29. But Scuti just showcased his 29 speed prowess and really was able to turn things around. But those are the first 2 games, the first 2 chapters of this story. This is the game to determine if we get a couple more chapters or if our book of this match concludes here. That being said, 228 for Scuti, 188 for Myles. Scuti, almost a flawless 40. Is forced to take 1 burn line somewhere. Myles actually going to take a triple. And you know, there's always a couple of quotes that fly around within the Tetris community. It's like, don't be a hero, take the triple. But in the case of your opponent playing nigh on perfect, you know, taking a triple is just another excuse for Scuti to increase his lead. Another Tetris for Scuti, 319 here at 57 lines. Only 1 burn has been committed. Scuti gonna take the 2nd burn here following the S-spin. And Myles actually with a very strong game too, 308 at 63 lines. So both players well on track for 650k plus transitions. Scuti now actually running into a slowdown. Gonna be forced to take some burns, and this is gonna give Myles the opportunity to close the gap, and we almost had a tie game there for a second, separated by a single and some pushdown points. Both players knocked down a Tetris 379 to now 401. But truly, the efficiency that has been on display in this game exceeds both the prior game efficiencies. Even though Scuti did run into a slowdown, 424 at 85 lines. Truly stupendous transitions here. Another Tetris is going to be scored over there for Scuti. 447 to now, or make that 470 to now 470. Almost a tie, separated by half a single in terms of points. Myles now looks like he's going to opt to go for a center well. Those S pieces were poorly timed, and this is where Myles is actually going to fall behind. Scuti with no blemishes on his board is going to be able to knock down another Tetris. 539. Well on track for a 600k transition. And Myles can get one as well, just not one that's going to be as high as Scuti's. 584 now for Scuti. Looking to close things out here. Game number 3 is riding on the momentum of 2 fantastic games. .630 now. We are looking at some insane paces. 2 Tetrises available for Scuti. There's one. Looking for one more. And there it is. Scuti transitions at 677. Myles can try and squeeze out 2. But it's not going to be easy. As a matter of fact, the board state is definitely not ideal. Myles does get a Tetris and is just going to have to burn out. But double 600k transition. Both players going to level, or not level 29, level 19. 726, make that 751 for Scuti. You're going into level 20. Almost over 100,000 point lead over Myles. Although he did go to level 20 or level 19 sooner than Myles. But Myles is in a deadly position. Myles is going to have to find a way to downstack. Does get an eyepiece that's going to help out a little bit. Doesn't burn anything, but Myles just needs to get the right pieces in the right locations. Pieces are making their way over to the left. L and J dependent. Now eyepiece dependent over there in column 3. Myles needs to find a way to burn this out. This could be it. If Myles doesn't get the right pieces, this could be a top out. Myles gets swept. And Scuti is going to be your 3rd place finisher here for Genesis. And what a tremendous game by Scuti. We can let him play this out. We can see something tremendous here. And with that, the rivalry has been evened out 3-3. And for sure, we're going to see these 2 players play each other again. Seems like they just simply can't escape each other. 970 here. Actually, this is going to be a max out into 24. There's a max in the 24. Of course, Scuti is going to slow down here. It looks like the rest of the slowdown is going to be kind of concluded. Scuti looking for an L and a J. Gets both of them. And with this, could we see a 2 million here? Under the super kill screen line cap. If I'm not mistaken, 2 million hasn't been reached yet. Could be wrong on that. But definitely getting as many points prior to 29 is going to help that out. 1.113 over there for Scuti. B47. But a 2 million in a competitive game be absolutely ridiculous. Waiting for the next long bar here. There it is. Almost a 1.2. Tetris is going to be scored. We would love to get a T-piece. Oh, wow. What a delay burn setup. Needs a J-piece to make everything work out ideally. Oh, this is tough. I-piece is going to help out tremendously. Still needs a J. It needs to get over to the left-hand side. It's possible. Nah, C47, that's going to be it. But, ladies and gentlemen, you got to give it up for Scuti. Absolutely tremendous play. And with that, the record has been evened out between the 2 of them. But, oh, hello. My camera is frozen. Well, this sucks. Okay, there we go. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Was a fun match, and like I said, the 3rd place match was played for this Genesis medal. Scuti is going to be getting this medal shipped out to him. Myles, better luck next time.
Hello everyone, I'm your underwater host Sharky, and I want to say thank you all so much for watching. Real quick, I gotta kind of explain why this third place match even happened, because normally for these regional kind of events, we don't have a third place match. However, at Genesis, there was a special exception. They gave us 3 medals. First and second place obviously got the first and second place medal. However, third place was never determined. Now, we could have gone the boring route and be like, oh, you had a higher combined amount of score because they both lost 3-1. So you had a higher combined amount of score, you get the third place medal by that metric. But where's the fun in that? So we decided to do a third place matchup after the event online, which featured Myles versus Blue Scuti. And that's what got you this match. Now, real quick, do have a couple announcements to announce. The Genesis jersey is available for order until May 5th. Link is in the description. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Discord. But really, I'm excited to talk about the action that happens tonight and tomorrow. So starting tonight is Friendly's Reckoning. The action starts at 6 p.m. Central, but the main event will be at 10 p.m. Central. And that main event is going to be Harry Hong, who hasn't played in a match since 2021 up against Jeff in the Gauntlet All-Stars event. And he's going to be coming back to settle a score with yours truly. So Harry versus Sharky, 10 p.m. Central, that new gen versus old school, definitely going to be something exciting, something you want to watch. Tomorrow, Dallas Underground starts. The first ever invitational tournament to be hosted in Dallas will begin at 12 p.m. Central or 1700 UTC and will feature Dog, Myles, Sodium, and Andy. So definitely want to tune in. And right after that, the part 2 of Friendly's Reckoning will follow, which the main event for that particular match is going to be Green Tea. Yes, that Green Tea versus Jeff. So we got a stacked weekend of Tetris for you guys. It's definitely something that you don't want to miss. Be able to watch it here on YouTube and on Twitch, whichever you prefer. But with that being said, hope you all enjoyed the video. Comment down what your favorite moment was. There's quite a few from Scuti. I mean, he definitely was pouring on the aggression. I mean, he swept Myles, which definitely got revenge for what happened to him in the prior match that they had in a regional event at Waco. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said, CTWC is almost less than 2 months away, almost a month away at this point. So you definitely want to be subscribed for all the content that we have coming out featuring what happened at previous regionals and maybe some in-between content. Stay tuned. Anyways, once again, I'm your underwater host Sharky, and I'll see you in the next video here on CTWC.